Hello again, welcome back to Cartooning in Place. My name's Mark Fiore. I'm the cartoonist that does the daily cartoon for KQED called Drawn to the Bay. Today on Cartooning in Place, we're going to draw some things that get us from point A to point B. So we're going to draw a car, a plane, a BART train, and a boat, just because they're fun to draw too. So draw along at home, and if you need to pause it, do whatever you need to do, go at your own pace, and we'll draw together. Let's jump in. Okay, so if all goes according to plan, we'll be able to be zipping around a little more than we have been pretty soon. So that's why I'm thinking we can practice drawing more things that get us from point A to point B. Like a car like this. So that's a very boxy, cartoony car, but remember when we're drawing cars, and really a lot of what I'm going to show you now, we're starting with essentially a basic rectangle. And then you can sort of squish it in different ways. So like let's say we want to make a faster car. You can do something like this. And the way that I'm drawing these wheels, it kind of harkens back to what we did in the first video, where you have a ball like that, and then you can also squish it. So there it might be floating. Here it could be zipping along. So like here we're using the same principle for these wheels. This kind of car wheel looks more stable and like it's on the ground than something like this car wheel that's zipping along, especially when you add those little zip lines. So we can do a car like that. You could do a super duper skinny race car way down here. And I'm sure many of you have already practiced drawing things like race cars and fast cars and that kind of thing. It's always fun. And I'm just going to give you a few more tricks to make it look like they're going even faster. So remember, put that shadow behind the car rather than directly under it. Put the shadow behind it. Sometimes I like doing some specks like little gravel or dust, and then zip lines. Makes it look like it's going even faster. But another rectangle is necessary if we're going to have cars like that. So let's start out with a rectangle. It's got some little squishes in it like this. And this kind of rectangle is what's responsible for keeping those cars filled up with gas. These guys haven't been working as much lately, but I'm sure they'll be back. We have a little smokestack there, little crew quarters, and another thing that makes it look more like an oil tanker are these little antennas, little radar balls. You can just put all kinds of little doodads up there. And then one thing I like to do that makes it say oil tanker a little more, you do a lot of like pipes and tubes on the top. And it can just be lines, like all these are just lines that go up and over. So that's an oil tanker that doesn't have much oil in it. Remember, when they get filled with oil, you bring that rectangle way down in the water because it's all filled with oil. You can draw basically the same thing, just lower. And oil tankers have this kind of rectangle on the top. That's where the crew and the captain and navigator guy, so they can go out over the edge because these are so wide. They can look out when they're docking. They can go out on this edge. I'm sure it's got a name, so if there's any nautical types watching these, let me know the name. So see, here's the oil tanker when it's full, and there's when it's empty. So, and if you want to get really fancy, which isn't too hard, you do a little wake or ripples coming from it. Another rectangle we can do that you may recognize, it's just a variation of a rectangle. And we often don't even see the wheels on these guys because we're just so used to being up here on the platform. of our BART trains, which also haven't been running very much lately, but hopefully will again soon. And they're pretty much just a collection of rectangles. All these rectangles put together. And this is a simplified version. This is a cartoony version of a BART train. They basically have nothing but rectangles put together like this. The little sliding doors, and I know most of them will have they have more than one door on per train, right? Per train car. And you'll also notice I did the older BART train, which I think is more interesting looking for a cartoon. It's a little more retro, and it all comes down to this little point here. And remember, for these kind of rectangles, it's that same principle as the tire that I showed you earlier. Square rectangle just kind of sits there. If you lunge it forward like this, I guess that's officially, is that a rhombus? I think that's a rhombus. This thing looks like it's sitting there. It's just a rectangle. This one is moving. So see, our rectangle here is sitting at the station. If we lunge it forward like that, put some zip lines and some dots, that rectangle instantly looks like it's moving. Okay, and then up in the skies, this is where we're going to get away from rectangles. Let's draw a big oval like that. And then from this oval, you can do a little thing like that sticking out. And we have wings and a tail. And that's pretty much our simple plane. It's like the simplest passenger plane you could draw. And then you can do these little passenger windows here. Little dots like that. And sometimes they have the little tail wing down there or up here. But I like doing it down there. It looks more like almost like a rocket. And then if you want to get more detailed, you can do some engines right underneath it. And again, it's this movement. A big part of, at least my cartoons, I don't know if all cartoonists do this, but you see it in plenty of other cartoonists. It's about getting movement and life in your drawings by doing other little things next to it. So see, now it instantly is from like a plane sitting there to a plane zipping along. And there you have it. Now, if there's anything you'd like to learn how to draw or any cartoons you've done that you would like to share here, send them in an email to cartoons@kqed.org. And feel free to share this video far and wide, especially with your friends who you think would like to learn how to draw. I'm Mark Fiore saying thanks for joining me here on Cartooning in Place, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.